Hi guys, so today I'm not gonna play guitar, I'm just gonna talk about my top 20 favorite guitar players. In fact, in this top there's the 20 guitar players that inspired me the most in my own little musical journey. So let's start with number 20, which is a French guitar player called Adrian Manar. Is a gypsy and electric jazz player. In fact, I discovered him in two different projects. The first is a French project around a special guitar, which is a Selmer guitar, the Django guitar, the Selmer number 607, and I discovered Adrian playing La Bicyclette with another guitarist I'm going to talk about in this top 20, and the only things that I hear is that he's an absolutely brilliant player with a gorgeous tone and is a master improviser. Really tasty improvisation, So that's why you really need to listen to him. In number 19, Blake Mills. I don't know if you know Blake Mills, but I discovered him in Crossroad Festival when he was playing a song called Last Dance With Me, Save This Last Dance With Me, I guess. And I was blown away by his tone playing an improvisation. I've also seen a YouTube video with him playing some Cuban music, and he's truly a kind of Cooder from the new generation. He's a really great producer and fantastic player too. You need to listen to his album Hey Ho with a song called If I'm Unworthy. Is really a master player. In number 18, Ariel Posen. You probably know Ariel Posen, which is a fantastic slide player. I discovered him playing in the Brass Laundrette band with another guitarist that I'm gonna talk about. So, of course, Ariel is a fantastic slide player with a really deep tone, playing baritone guitars, which really gives him a huge sound. You have to listen to his album Mile End and a song, for example, Deep Sea Diver, which is absolutely gorgeous. Number 17, another French player called Matias Dupy. I think he really deserves to be known more because he's a classically trained player, in fact, but a really original classically trained player because he plays a lot with musicians from all around the world. He have, in fact, a project called Violin of the World, where he's playing with a player from Mongolia, China, and I'm gonna say a mistake, but a player perhaps from Iran, I guess. So it's a fantastic player which makes classical music with world music, and in fact he is really known to be a really great composer. He composed for a lot of classical musicians. You have to check his music. Go listen on his YouTube channel, for example, his song Nocturne number 1. It's absolutely gorgeous. Number 16, Cooder. Of course, Cooder. I can't speak about slide without Cooder. Since my childhood, my father was listening to Paris, Texas soundtrack, and of course, when you've listened to the track Paris, Texas, you probably experience one of the deepest experience with slide guitar. The tone is gorgeous, the composition. Listen to the chord progression behind the slide. It's absolutely brilliant. And Rai is also a fantastic producer. He has done an incredible work with Buena Vista Social Club, of course, and is this kind of guitarist that I really love, who really serve the music. For example, in Buena Vista Social Club, his role is really behind the other musician, but you can hear his slide playing. It's absolutely wonderful. Number 15, go to Spain with the great Bish Amigo. It's a flamenco guitarist. If you love flamenco guitars, of course, we all know Paco de Lucia, but Bish Amigo is a kind of modern Paco. He has an insane virtuosity, and he mixes, like Paco does, a lot of different influence in his flamenco. You need to hear his song Roma or Calieron de la Luna. One thing's to say, I had the chance this year to go to Spain and to experience for the first time in my life a real flamenco show. Believe me, this is a thing you need to experience once in your life. It's truly, sorry, a vibrant music, really living music. It's absolutely wonderful. So go check Vicente Amigo. Number 14, Joe Landret. Of course, I've been talking about Ariel Posen, so now let's talk about Joe Landret. I discovered him, of course, with the Brass Landret, and I immediately fall in love with his playing. You know, he's a fantastic slide player, fantastic singer too, gorgeous tone. In general, perhaps some people are not going to be agree with me, but I think in the modern era we're living, actually, of course, mainstream music is not really fantastic, I guess, but in the guitar world, I think the tone is probably the best we've ever heard, you know, with a lot of pedals on the market, and the guitar players have more and more a really, really beautiful tone. So go back to Joe Landret, of course, gorgeous tone. He's as great an acoustic and on electric guitar. You need to listen to him on a cover he made of Hallelujah and Lover. So it's he is a master player, in fact. The way he play in open tunings is simply stellar. Number 13, another French, Antoan Bu. You've probably heard about Antoine Bu because he's really young, and he's already been here since a lot of years, in fact, and is, for me, the definition of a virtuoso. In fact, Antoine is a master in gypsy guitar. He shares the stage with all the greats, of course, but he is also a master in classical guitars. You know, he studied with the best here in France, and you have to hear him play Scarlatti. It's absolutely fantastic. Just hear him play some counterpoint parts. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And of course, the duet he have with Samuelito, which is absolutely mind-blowing. For me, I'm sorry to say that, but too much time, the guitar duet or guitar trio, and some really, really known guitar trio. Okay, I'm not gonna tell the name, but there's too much competition in this kind of musical project. You know, every guitarist is trying to play faster than the other, and for me personally, it's boring with kind of piezo sound. You know, I'm not giving name, but you know what I'm talking about. Even if they're fantastic player, but in the kind of project of Antoine and Samuelito, it's only music, really with a lot of virtuosity, but in fact it always serves the music, which is the proof that they are fantastic player. Number 12, and probably the one that I've been listening the most lately, is another French guitar player. Perhaps you're gonna discover a lot of French guitar players. So this guitar player, the one I'm listening the most actually, is Louis Winsberg. Is flamenco player mixed with a fusion player, jazz player, of course. He play in different known projects. The first is Sixen. It's a jazz fusion band, really known in France, which is absolutely fantastic. And the project that I've been listening a lot lately is project about flamenco music and mixed with Mediterranean Arabic music and Indian music, and the project is called Raleo. It's gorgeous. The composition are true masterpiece for me. The sound, the production is brilliant. You have several guitars, a saz, a dancer, of course, and tabla and percussion is absolutely mind-blowing. You need to listen Louis Winsberg. You need to listen Raleo with, for example, a song called Buller Himalaya. It's absolutely brilliant. Number 11, an old man from the United States, probably too much unknown, which is named Mike Doling. I discovered him, I guess, around 2010, when I was really digging into the resonator world. I was start to dig in this world. And of course, at the time, you have one master, which was Bob Brosman, I guess, but I don't want, for several reasons, to include Bob Brosman, even if I've listened to him a lot in this list, because you will make your own research, but it's kind of a controversial man, so I really do prefer include Mike Doling, because I've listened to him a lot, and is kind of mix between country, blues, jazz, and slide American player, with always really tasteful arrangement, really laid back. When it plays, it's absolutely effortless. You need to hear, for example, his rendition of Maria Elena. It's truly a fantastic player. Love him. Okay guys, just a few seconds to let you know that if you enjoyed what I'm playing on my YouTube channel, perhaps you will be interested in my book called 20 Pieces for Solo Acoustic Guitar. It's out on Amazon everywhere in the world. I will put a link in the description. So now let's go back to the video. Number 10. Let's go to the top 10. Number 10, Pat Metheny. Of course, you all know Pat Metheny. I discovered him some years ago, and I think at the beginning I didn't understand nothing at what he was doing. In fact, I discovered him with an album called The Way Up, which is a 64-minute song. In fact, so it's a crazy composition. It's a mix of course, jazz with the great late Lyle Mace, who passed away some years ago. Of course, Pat is an insane player and composer, and he creates a different sound, a unique sound in jazz. So it's probably one of the most important guitar player of all time, jazz musician of all time, I guess. Number 9, Jeff Beck. Of course, Jeff Beck in the middle of all these kind of acoustic players. No, not only, but Jeff Beck, because no one played like Jeff Beck, in fact. I discovered him really lately in his career, because I really started to listen to him with his Ronnie Scott, live at Ronnie Scott, and I was blown away by the lineup, with Vinny Colaiuta and Tal Wickenfeld, and sorry, I don't remember the name of the keyboard player, but of course, unique playing, a gorgeous touch, and I truly love his rendition of Charles Mingus' song Goodbye Pork Pie Hat, which he mixed with an enormous blues, which is called Brush with the Blues. So you probably already know Jeff, but it's always a really good idea to listen to him. Number 8, another French, and for me, one of the monster player we have on earth, actually, which is Silva Luke. Sylvain is really known here in France. He played with all the best acoustic player in the world, in fact, from Tommy Emmanuel to Billy Lagrand, etc. So he's a mind-blowing improviser, probably one of the most advanced improviser in the world for me, with an absolutely gorgeous touch. Perhaps you don't like too much the kind of piezo-like sound he can have sometimes because he plugged his nylon string guitars, but you have to hear him in studio. For example, he posted a video lately called Anjo de Mime, and with really an acoustic classical guitar, and it sounds absolutely wonderful. He's truly, he seems like a limitless guitar player, in fact. So Anjo de Mime and Omenaldi are two songs that I really think you need to listen to. Number 7, here is the opposite. In fact, it's John Petrucci. In fact, John Petrucci is a guitarist that really influenced the young guitar player that I was when I was a teenager. In fact, I was only listening to blues rock guitar, and back in 2001 probably, I read an interview in a French magazine about Dream Theater. And the interview was really cool, so I told my parents that I wanted a VHS or DVD of their Metropolis Part 2, I think, Seen from a Memory tour. And the first time I put the DVD, I didn't understand nothing. But I was kind of hypnotized because it was really hard for me to listen to this music when you came from blues rock. But I immediately recognized that it was kind of brilliant music, in fact. So you know that John Petrucci is a huge technician, and that, like it or not, he creates a sound with Dream Theater. Of course, there's some kind of how can I say, the kind of voice in Dream Theater is kind of 90s kind of voice, of course, but they are fantastic musicians, and John seems like a really cool guy, and I love the way he plays. In fact, he's not for me an improviser, but he's really a great composer. Just hear his solos there. Most of them are really cool solos, in fact. So, number 6, another kind of guitar player, but one of the most important for me, Kelly Joe Phelps. Kelly Joe passed away some years ago, unfortunately, and for me, that's simple. He had the best touch I've ever heard on a resonator guitar. You have to listen to his album Brother Sinner on the Whale. It's his last album, and he had a soulful voice. The guitar parts are mind-blowing because he was kind of a folk blues player, but mixed with free jazz player. So it's mind-blowing, always really tasty playing. And of course, another side of Kelly Joe Phelps is an album that received bad, not so good critics when it came out, which is called Western Belle, and I have it, and I think the critics who gave their opinion just don't understand how Kelly Joe was advanced compared to them, because there's huge tension. Sometimes you think it's mistakes, but you know that it's a volunteer approach, and it's really, for me, a gorgeous album, only instrumental. But with this deep tone, you have to listen to Kelly Joe. He's a fantastic player. He was a fantastic player. So now let's go to the top 5, and of course in this top 5 there's the guitar players which influenced me the most when I was a teenager, and I always listened to him, and I always love him because he's a fantastic player. Stevie Ray Vaughan. This is probably the guitarist I've listened the most in my life, actually. This is my first big influence. This is why I started playing guitar, in fact. So I love his enormous tone, his huge attack, composition. I love everything about Stevie Ray. Of course, some songs are quite simple songs, but you have to listen to Riviera Paradise or the whole album Texas Flood or the whole album In Step, for example, which are a great example of how Stevie Ray was. He was just an amazing guitar player that is deeply loved still here in 2023. Now, number 4, another American guitar player, Tony Rice. Of course, Tony Rice, for me, is not enough known here in France and perhaps in Europe, but he's the king of bluegrass, For me, Tony Rice is at bluegrass what Django was at gypsy jazz or Paco de Lucia was at flamenco. He is the most important guitarist of the genre. So the best tone ever for me on a Dreadnought, he had a huge tone. You have to check the videos, his instructional videos on YouTube where he's playing and explaining Wayfaring Stranger. He's just here in front of a mic with his pick and his guitar, and it sounds mind-blowing. He was a brilliant, brilliant player. Now, top 3, and let's start with Brazilian fantastic, incredible player that I've been listening a lot, which is Yamandu Costa. If you don't know Yamandu Costa, is the definition of a virtuoso coming on stage alone and playing with a lot of energy, with a lot of passion during an hour and a half, and is a kind of encyclopedia of South American music, in fact, from old Brazilian music to music from Argentina, Chile, etc., Mexico, etc. So for me, he has kind of a god level in interpretation. You have to listen to his song Samba Pro Rafa and O Despertar da Montanha, which are two really different pieces of music, but I think you're just going to be blown away by how brilliant is this guy. Number 2, of course, for me, Julian Lash. I had the chance to see him this last summer in Paris. For me, this is the best tone I've ever heard on an acoustic guitar, the best touch. His interpretation are just mind-blowing, Of course, he's a fantastic composer and improviser with an incredible technique, but it's really his light touch. He can play so light and so hard sometimes in the same song, and this is all these nuances that makes him one of the most important guitarists of the modern era for me in jazz. You have to absolutely listen to his album World Fair. Perhaps you will have to listen to it several times because harmonies can be kind of adventurous with Julian, but when you listen to it several times, you just hear the voicing they use every time, the melodies. It's absolutely brilliant. He's a modern master. And to finish, in number 1, the boss for me, actually, that I've been listening a lot, which have recorded a huge amount of album, of course, is Bill Frisell. Bill Frisell does not have playing as, how can I say, virtuosic? I don't know the term, in fact. It's not in a kind of virtuoso playing as for example, Yamandu or Julian Lash, but you have to listen to his absolutely wonderful music, For me, he's at the crossroad between jazz, country and a kind of avant-garde music, you know. He's always really melodic. And the fun fact about Bill is when he's playing, you have always the impression that he's searching what he's gonna play just after, like if he had to search the next chords, but it always sounds absolutely brilliant. So always melodic, really prolific. He has tons of albums, incredible albums, in fact. I discovered him with an album called Music Is, but you have to check his album, for example, Poem Forever or This Farmer, which are absolutely wonderful albums. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoy this top 20. Feel free to give me in comment your, for example, top 5 favorite guitarists. And if you discovered some guitar player in my top 10, I'm really happy with that. Of course, I wish you guys a really Merry Christmas. And I see you next time in another video. Bye!